I'm still in Sydney.
And where are you, James, right now?
I'm in San Francisco,
Okay.
California. But yeah, that behind me.
His name, I don't remember anymore. It's 7. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. So
Next declaration. Everybody seems prophet. No, we have just a moment.
playing Lego.
Yeah.
So the name is Hope of Garden or the Garden of Hope. Which way?
With
So,
Hey.
yeah, so I was saying, I have two James. I don't know why.
C'è la foto di quando ti hanno arrestato.
So, I was saying, Claudio now is introducing himself, and now I want just to give you some small information. Gregorio is a lecturer in Belgian Faculty of Architecture. James Key is a colleague architect. I met him last year in Milano during his conference, his speech in Milano Art Week. And Michael, maybe Michael is coming. Michael is chief architect and managing principal in Heritage Design Group, a Chinese company involved in landscape planning, and I have with them a special partnership because in Milano they have me as their. So we decided to invite colleagues, people, and friends to talk about this period, to take some memories, to save some video. People, yesterday I have a call with one more friend, with Chino, and he asked me, but why? Which is the goal? Which is the use you want to do about this video? Really, we don't know. We started to collect. Everybody of us have some idea, so it could be nice to talk about these ideas. If you want to give us some suggestions, and but the main goal is to save a memory of our friendship and our chats. So today we invited Nella and Begum, and maybe James could introduce Nella better than me. I just introduce you quickly Begum. Begum is an architect, is involved in creation of sculptural shapes using artificial intelligence, but maybe she's could explain you and tell you about better than me. So James, please, can you would
Yes.
like to talk about Nella?
Okay. Hi, Nile. How are you?
Hi. Hi.
Hello, guys. So Nile and I were classmates in 2004 in ETH. There was a very special urban research institute that was headed up by I think Kozak Domara and also Peter Melly, and on the research of different cities. And they started with Italy, actually, but also the particular research we did was on Hong Kong and Shenzhen. So, and then since then, Nila has started her own firm, but I can see that she still is very interested in research of how people, different parts of the world, how people live, how cities work, how different culture work, both in Europe and also in Asia. And so we've sort of kept on this communication going. And this, to be honest, this pandemic has given me a lot of time to call old friends and relate to old friends. And I just thought Nili would be really good partner in our discussion group, because she comes from Switzerland, which you think is the very central of Europe, but connected to all these different cities. And also it's a very homogeneous society, almost like landlocked, a very pure island. But at the same time, Nile, her individual herself, is very well connected with the world, and even the third world, world developing countries. And she's traveled to China. So Nile, maybe you can introduce a little bit about yourself, but I just thought you'd be the perfect person to bring into our discussion, to not only what's happening in the world, but also in maybe particularly in your part of the country, compared to the world. It might be a very interesting contrast.
Oh, Mike. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Me?
No, because I'm talking with Michael because Michael just arrived. Sorry, Nara.
No.
Can you hear us?
Michael.
Can you hear us?
Pepe, why don't you to talk to the other guests? I will text message Michael to tell him that he doesn't have signal.
There are birds singing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
And
You
you
couldn't
can
hear me because I wasn't talking.
Okay.
Okay.
We're just being sneaky.
And you are hearing us. Can you hear us, Michael?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we have just had our warm up, already introducing Nele and Begum, but we have just started. So now it's 8 o'clock. So it's our official start.
Michael, I don't know if you heard, but Nile is a former colleague of mine. We did our urban research together in Zurich and Basel. We were based in Zurich and Basel, but the topic interesting was Hong Kong and Hong Kong's border condition with China. So our research was about urban conditions, but also on a very different part of the world, how this border, one side is China and one side is Hong Kong. And Nile has since, still, I think she's engaged in many researches with not only Europe, but also in third world countries. And since then, she's visited many countries, also China. And then she also has her own architectural practice, still in Switzerland. So I just thought it would be, because Switzerland, when I was living there, made such a deep impression on me, as to the so different from the rest of the world, but at the same time so connected. So I thought her participation would be a very good addition to what we're discussing, not only for what's happening in Switzerland, but also if we start comparing how different countries are doing, not only at this time, but also going forward. So I'm very happy to see Nile, actually. Hi, Nile. How are you?
Nice good to see you.
You look the same. And
Me too.
so I don't know what Nile is going to present, but she has many interesting topics related to design, related to cities, related to her travel and her own experience of the world. Okay, there was the introduction.
Okay,
Hello?
so I'm just shortly also introduce myself, right? And just talk about what I'm doing. And so, like you said, I have my own office here. I'm working on different scales in building, but the research is very dear to my heart still. And I think architects have a bit, they could have a stronger point of view, maybe worldwide, and they could influence more because they are such a crucial intersection between clients and people that are, and between building lobbies, and between the people that are actually using the architecture. So there are like two tracks that I'm following in my research, and one is, let's say, the future of living. I call it the future because it sounds better, but actually it's the present also. And architecture is always a bit the slowest part in social developments. So let's say some things they already developed 20 years ago and architecture is still catching up. How, for example, the family changed a lot. So in Switzerland, like in many other Western countries, maybe not Italy so much, but the distance between the older generation and the younger core of a family grew, and they are not living together anymore. And sometimes they have different family models. It's just a mother that educates her children by herself. It's not so rare. It's not the rule, but it's also not an exception anymore. And the apartment types, I think they have to adapt. Like they come from a very rigid European typological model. So this is one part I was researching with students, and I'm also writing texts about. And right now I'm just making a book about new forms of living in Zurich. So let's say, for example, when you're old, here in Zurich, it used to be that you would go to the asylum, and now they're also introducing, you can live together in, I don't know the English word, in communities. So like you have 5 or 4 old people that live together in a community that can be visited by a help organization, just like every day, an hour or so, such. And so this is one thing I'm interested in. And the other is materiality. And this is a bit more against the streamline, I guess. I'm very much into simple materials, and I'm interested in raw materials like brick. I'm interested to get rid of the high-tech insulation. It's clear that we can't, I don't want to get rid of high-tech. I think it will become a part of the architecture, but I want to somehow separate. I'm interested to separate those things, that the high-tech that is ever evolving and ever developing can be easily changed. And the architecture is more there forever and is more like, not necessarily forever. It could also be wood, and it can be deconstructed and reconstructed again. But yeah, this is more like, I don't know, it's not maybe esoteric, but it's more like to be more with the pure material. And the big advantage is it has a very low carbon print. Whilst gaining it, whilst processing it, building it actually also, and then deconstructing it and giving it back to the earth, it's again, it has a very low carbon print. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm interested.
It's Nele, it's already into the topic of our series, no? Because we call as a joke this series Hope with Garden, joking with the announcement you can read on some newspaper, no? Home with garden, no? Because garden is a most advantage, is a benefit, no? But our garden is our home. This planetary garden is our home. And hope is the feeling we have to find or find again in this special moment. Now I would ask to Begum to introduce herself and with a quick presentation. So later we could start following our method, no? Because as a visual artist, as architect, as people used to work using images, we asked you to show us something so we can start and talk about sharing images. But Begum, please tell us about you and about your choose, because Begum chose to start her personal to found her personal office working on a specific topic, and I found it very interesting. Please.
Thank you. I am working on basically more focused on algorithm-based design. I've studied at the AA in London. I've been living in London. Then it's been 3 years that I moved back to Istanbul. I'm based in Istanbul right now, but working a bit global and so very mobile. Istanbul, London, Korea, Abu Dhabi. We are doing multiple projects there. So in that sense, this time as a workflow didn't change much internally, because I was already working in very global projects, small or large. My practice is Pada Labs. With Pada Labs, it's also still, it's been more than 2 years. It's a new practice, but my main aim is I really want to push the boundaries of technology together with architectural design. I don't believe using technology algorithms like parametric design, as we say, to make everything easier or something. Most of the time, it's actually making like sometimes it's making the work like double, because you have to write a script for it. But it's actually not for that kind of workload thing, because I'm explaining there's a misunderstanding about this topic as far as I can understand from the conversations that I've been involved. But it's more of making the design more free to be able to be constructed. So as an architect, we are having a role, I am having a role of like a half engineer, half architect, so that the designs that we're creating are not staying in the paper, so they're able to be constructed. So also designing the construction methodology. So I've done my master's degree about robotic fabrication in architecture. Again, it's for robots, not for the replacing of the workload, labor, but it's for literally making the construction world free, as we are in architecture. In construction, it's one of the disciplines that adapts to that kind of technologies in the last part, because even in medicine, even in science, the technological advances have been like raised a lot, and then they don't even seem futuristic. Like the robots can conduct the open heart surgery, right? And we say, okay, that's good. But in architecture, it takes time because of lots of constraints. So my practice is focusing on also low environmental impact projects. How can we increase the sustainability model of our buildings, of our designs, of our products by using those technologies? So in Abu Dhabi, we are right now working on an Eco Lodge project, which is very exciting for me because we are pushing our boundaries with using the robotic technology with traditional materials like earth. So how can we learn from our past and adapt it to future and make a more sustainable but also design-wise free architecture? Well, like, this is a brief summary of Pada Labs. Also, we are very interested in education. We are doing global workshops annually. And this year we have been partnered with Mariana Custodio, an architect from Zaha Hadid Architects. So we are trying to make this world of algorithmic design and organic design, and we're trying to make it in a more constructible and humanity-focused way.
Great. Great. So now we could, as usual, we could introduce our song of the day with I choose today to honor this great German artist just passed away yesterday. He was the founder of Kraftwerk. So my choice for today is this great piece, this great song. I don't know if you already know Kraftwerk. Now I could start to share my screen. Maybe Nele know Kraftwerk, and maybe yeah, I guess so. I now try to share my screen with you. There was
I can't hear properly.
I also don't hear.
I don't hear a damn thing.
Looks good.
It looks good. Yeah.
Maybe it's better not to hear.
with a pronunciation not nice as Nele would like. They repeat wir sind Roboter, wir sind the Roboter, we are the robots. And they was in years and during the 70s introduced the electronic music, these first synthesizers, mixing them with classical instruments like flutes and like other. And their characteristic was always to choose to be represented by their avatar, no, by these puppets. The idea is that man in the middle of the community could lost his identity. So I prepare for you, as usual, my images just to start. The image I choose for today is a college. I built this college, of course, starting from this song. And here you can see the cover of this edition, these issues from Kraftwerk. And also here you can see some image from one of my favorite movie. I think you know, is a movie from 2019, 29. I could share with you a short clip from this movie. This movie is a mute movie from 1929 from King Vidor, one of my favorite movie maker, a master of the cinema. And in this movie, he showed how crowded our town already was. This is, of course, American town, the bigness of the American town. And into this bigness, which is the relationship between community and the subject and the single man. In one of my favorite book from Ludwig Hilberseimer, The New Regional Pattern, start with this fundamental question for us as architects. The question is, why do people live and work together? What is their aim? What is the purpose of their communities? Every state, said Aristotle, is a community of some kind, and every community is established with a view to some good. For mankind always acts in the order to obtain that which it thinks good. But if all community aim at some good, the state of political community, which is the highest of all, and which embraces the rest, aims at good in a greater degree than any other, and at the highest good. So, I mean, this man, as you can see in this movie, is in the middle of his community, a community of workers, maybe of robots, I don't know. But take a look. At a certain point, the camera moves directly on him, and he is truly alone with his life, with his feeling. So I shared with you one more image, and you can see this image in my background. And this image come from let me share my background. Okay, and this image come from another movie I love a lot, Playtime from Jacques Tati. And in this movie, as you can see in my background, every man is into this COVID-19 box, because this is the perfect place to make people distanced, to save people from infection. So density, distance, these are recurrency problem in our discipline, in our work. And before I started talking about Ludwig Hilberseimer, this is one of my favorite books from him. In this book, he tried to combine a technological approach, for example, the Christaller approach about the problem of the density and about the decentralization of the town. He tried to combine this theoretical scheme with the nature of the landscape, try to combine rationality, geometry, our tools, our way of thinking with the organic shape of the landscape. As an architect, not only as a landscape architect, not only as an urbanist, but as an architect, so thinking which the final effect could be. And the ideal town of Ludwig Hilbersheimer is a town that is able to disappear into the forest, and the only visible building are the collective buildings, schools, hospitals, and so on. This is my choose for today. Maybe, sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen meanwhile of talking about these references, so I share quickly with you them. So I was talking, sorry, about the Crystal scheme. Maybe you know, surely you know, the Hilbersheim screen about the urban pattern overlapped on and combined and matched with the shape of the natural landscape. And this is a physical model about this idea with the downtown, a modern downtown, totally disappeared into the forest with the biggest element as symbolic and also useful common building for community use, so school, so hospital, and so on. I choose all of these references, as you know, as we told, focusing on our period and try to combine them with our guest. So I leave Nele show us what she wants. You're welcome.
So I share an image with you.
Yes.
What is the? Or we talk about your.
Oh, what you want? I saw. To be honest, I saw on your website the home page an amazing image. I fall in love with it when I saw, because is what I would reach every time. Meanwhile I'm working. Meanwhile I work as an architect. No, it's I don't have word. No, because when I saw the smoke with the rainbow into the smoke, the reflection of the light, something is not so hard, it's no material, something like a feel, something like an idea.
Yeah, this is an amazing photograph. It's a friend of mine, a very gifted photographer, made came to my pool bar, which I made in Zurich, and yeah, he made these amazing photographs. So what I can maybe, because James told me the topic of your the pool bar would actually fit into that as well. What I chose, my background is the Villa di Livia. Let me check that. Yeah, Villa di Livia in Rome. So it's like a wall painting from the Roman antique. It's end of 1st century, and I think it's marvelous. It's amazing because it's the introduction of the garden into the inner space, and then this image, it inspired me to make a wallpaper, which I've drawn for my hotel that I made in Zurich. Let me see if I can show you this. Yeah. So, yeah, so this is the wall painting, And my client, he wanted also, he wanted to have citronnerie, you know, that the like orangerie is the place in the garden where you grow oranges in this kind of glassed spaces, so it doesn't get too cold in the winter. And my client wanted a citronnerie in his hotel, so this was the inspiration, because in Italy you grow oranges, like we say in German. Goethe told once that Italy is the country where the lemons blossom. And so I made this, I've drawn it by hand. It was actually quite beautiful work. Made this wallpaper that is now in this hotel. It's in the hallway. So when you come out of your hotel room, you are always in like encircled with this hotel, with this.
Very nice.
And maybe this was just because it was very quick, and then it's not so self-referential as it seems, because the topic of garden, introducing garden in apartments, I think is a really very valid topic in our day, like the future of living. And we are more living in a more dense world, like you showed, Giuseppe, in your movie. That I think it is very, very valid to somehow give every individual living unit also kind of this, reintroduce the garden in the city. And this is now a virtual way, but of course there are also loggias, etc. There were very interesting small tools. And what also just came to my mind when James mentioned the garden and hope is that actually the villa type, I just read an article in the Zurich newspaper that the villa type was actually developed because of epidemics. And so because it's actually really well, if you the distance type, you know, that you have, you can have like a self-referential world when you're living in a villa. Makes absolutely sense. And somehow to deduce this villa type and reintroduce this also in a stapled and stacked version in the city is a topic that interests me very much.
Yeah, this was a question we talked about last week, about Australia also, this kind of suburban mixed with garden landscape as a possible, or in California also, as James pointed out. It's an issue that it's popping up in every appointment we have here. This issue of how redraw the geography of human distribution. And congrats for your work, is really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't. It would be nice to see also images from the work of Begum, because I didn't. I just checked the website of Nele, so I could see stuff, but I'm very interested also in what Begum told us about. And can I show you something, Giuseppe? Yes, because Giuseppe shown this amazing movie. I want to credit the American movie you shown. And the other day I was let me see if I can share. I broke my computer, so I'm using my phone. So let me see.
If you want, Gregorio, I can help you. I can share for you.
But I already wait 1 second. No. Well, it's not working, but Anyway, it's not working. But
Tell me what you need, because I
no,
can
nothing.
share.
It's just the movie Metropolis that everyone knows.
Okay.
It's very, very interesting, the parallel we can make with the movie you shown, because in Metropolis, the director really shows this kind of mass, the working class mass, that the American movie shows in a very American way. At the time, he already shows the services workers in offices, and Metropolis shows the working class in factories, but both show the alienation of urban society, and there are all those guys in lines, you know, in the both movies. You see these black and white images of people walking towards big factories or big offices and so on. The absence of vegetation in nature in cities and so on. So it's very interesting, because I just wanted to say that, because the other day I was watching this very beautiful documentary that has huge impact here in the French-speaking world, which is a very it's a documentary made by Arte, which is a French German TV channel, about the working class, and it has huge impact. This week, a lot of people shared it and watched it. It's a series of 4 episodes about the working class, and I think that we have to correlate this whole issue of garden, the right of nature of the people, the things that Nele was talking about, the relation with older people, and also this question of robotics that Begum was talking about. All this, I think, is related somehow with the working class issue. You know, how we work and why we work and for whom, and how we end up getting old, and how society deals with people who are working useless in a way for capitalism. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say, and yeah, that's it. And yeah, it's related with the short movie the short declaration that Antonio Ottomanelli yesterday made in his balcony, in his rooftop, with the text I wrote with him, and that I shared with you, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Just a question, but also just I would like to talk about this, because I can show you immediately the image I found on Nele website. This is the image. Maybe you can see it exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is the image I was referring before. About Nele works, I found really interesting the work in Karachi, because so as Claudio Nelli know, as me was involved in some social operation in Milano, and I find interesting the downgrade, no? Because of course, usually in our work we work at the maximum level of technology. We use a lot of software render, app like this one, no? But sometimes the downgrade is able to give us a great experience also because it is able to restart our mind, no? So, for example, 4 years ago, in a public market close to my office, I was involved in a design operation to to build the identity of this abandoned market. And we build some places, some rooms, some tower, using just fruit box, the wood fruit box, and was very fun. The downgrade is interesting. In the Nele website, I saw these pictures about Karachi. Can you? At the meantime, I could share this picture for you, so you can talk about if you want.
Sure.
Yes,
Thank
no,
you.
it's a very nice work he did because I live very close to the building you referred to. It's a very nice 1930 public market, which is a very nice shape and was very innovative, I think, for those days. And in the 70s, they roofed everything, and it's very, very poor. But he worked a lot, and he made a very good job. He's too shy to talk about it, but it's very, very nice. So you'll see it.
Thank you, Claude. Please, Nele.
About Karachi.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, sure. This was like one of the loveliest experiences in the last years. To be able to go there. Great people. Actually, I like this place very much. I like the country so far, as I've seen it, of course, with lots of difficulties. So we made a design, exhibition design for the Biennale. And together with the students there, we developed the design, and then we also built it together. And we had like different materials, like I said, this is the second track I'm interested in, is like raw materials. And we had like different materials layered, like mud, wood, and bamboo. And then in the end, we chose the bamboo model. And we made the signs of bamboo, and yeah, they were like just scattered throughout the city, and they were also like the backstage then of the main podium, and it was a very small thing, but I think it also. They appreciated a lot the thinking process, to really go back and just have a look at raw materials. And yeah. Anyway, it was magic being there. It was really nice, and I like these people. But I would
Very good, very nice.
Yeah. I would actually be very interested if big room, because this is like I think maybe we are the two. It's a good thing you invited both of us. Maybe we are at the two extremes of what we can discuss, right? And I would love to see what what you are doing.
I can. Is it okay, Giuseppe?
Yeah, sure.
So let me share my screen. So I want to. Can you see?
Yeah.
This was part of one of my projects back in London, and my colleagues actually were Italian. Federico Borello, me, and Philip Siedler was part of research, and we were actually looking for a new ways of living. Like, can we suggest co-living? And in London, especially, co-living is very, very high demand, and there even like the amount of new constructions are literally being visioned as co-living apartments. And what is co-living? And meanwhile, when we were thinking about co-living in architecture in high density urban formations, also we start to think about personal space. So if we are going to minimize our personal space and then maximize our shared space, the basic of co-living, does it work, and does it really add to the city economy? In a way, you cannot afford to live in the city center, but if you have the very, very minimum personal space, then you may afford it, and then you can live in the city in good conditions if you want to. But this image is, for me, it's an in-between image. It's actually not answering to both worlds. Like, it's not co-living because it's something very personal, but it's contextless because it was one of the trials, right? So the fact that, and I'm not showing the overall project, the outcome of the project or the final, so this was one of the tests. The reason that I wanted to show this, that this has no context, and this is like a pod that a single person can live in it. This reminds me of where I am living right now in this COVID situation, because I really feel like this woman when I'm in my room, because my room feels like the only thing that I have sometimes, because I don't go to office and I'm always at home. So when you invited us here, when I was looking to the projects of mine, and this was very interesting for me in that sense. And the fact that with a different context, you can put it in nature, and you can feel with the green, and you can experience the nature in its best. Or maybe this is like an urban condition, that this is one of the cells that you live in, and it's more of like a Japanese kind of futuristic vision. So it's actually up to us to decide the context, and which is very, very important in our case as an architect. But when you decontextualize a vision, it gives you a time and space to think and speculate about what it could be. So speaking of this, and can you see the second picture?
Yes.
So this is also one of my projects, and this is a silent meditation cabin in Latvia. So when you compare the two projects and the context and what it does, actually the similarity is that it has a single occupant that has a boundary, that has a shell. But the first one was very transparent, and something that has this feeling of maybe the material is not there, but maybe it's not important at that case. But in here, we're talking about we are having this wood, we are in the nature. These panels are rotatable, so it expands, and it becomes like a fully open shell, and then you close yourself like the animal, you know. So it's actually, for me, interesting to think about those two worlds, and what do we want? Do we really want to go with this?
Yes, it's interesting. I found interesting you choose for us these two images so different to even they could seems in opposition. No, one so geometrical, the other one so organic, one so open, the other one so closed. But I think this is one of the most important issue of this period of our life, because for some point of view, we are searching a new way to be social, but at the same time we are scared to be social. everybody is against everybody, no? So people in Italy is hating runners. Runners is adding people with dog, because people with dog can go away, can go out, and runner can't go out. Swimmers is hating surfer, because surfer can go to surf, but swimmers can't go to swim. This is an interesting issue of this period, no? Opposition or cooperation or acceptance, no? I think the one of the most interesting challenge is in a technological approach is to use artificial intelligence to rebuild our world. People is scared that artificial intelligence could make our world so different, so robotic. But I believe, I hope artificial intelligence, as this sketch, for example, could show, artificial intelligence could be useful to rebuild our world. For example, starting to giving us the possibility to use in a different way traditional materials. Why not bamboo, for example, no? How people cross bamboo to build something, no? Using traditional techniques. Maybe using software like languages also, like Grasshopper, no? I'm not, I don't have great experience in this kind of technology, no? But why not using this kind of technology, we could discover a new way to combine geometrical, straight, and rationalist way of doing with a more organical and sustainable approach. Maybe in solving in a modern way the opposition Le Corbusier is playing us now, when Le Corbusier was telling the animal go zigzag, the man goes straight, no? But straight, somebody is boring. So maybe now I would I would like to hear some word from my friend Michael Erickson, because we talk with Michael. We work a lot cooperating in design, in different design, and he is for me a great advisor about these issues.
Thank you, Pepe. Bigum, I love these images, especially the one you're showing now. It's I kind of gasped when it came out. it's really. I also like just the peculiar angle, of the view. It's kind of a little bit like I can get a feeling of living in there, but also looking into it as well. And it's kind of it's not, it doesn't have a defined boundary there, which I like as well. Anyway, that sets me up to give you something I looked at as well. And actually, it's something I worked on during the week. It's a park. Can you see it? Maybe not. Hang on. Share screen. Okay.
I can share for you, Mike. I'm downloading. Okay.
Okay. How do I make that big? Okay. You can see this?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. This is something I did yesterday. it's interesting. It's a bit complicated. I'll try and make it sound rational. It's a big park on a river in China. And what's interesting, the river is called, in Pinyin or English Chinese, is called Pai He, Pai River. And James, I think you would know, this Pai means nearby, you know, or close by. No special meaning. And I started thinking about this park, that it could be, first of all, just in terms of what you were talking about, Pepe, I didn't want any straight line on this park. I didn't want any direct path. It's somewhere you didn't quite get lost, but you could get pleasantly lost. Find your way back on the track, and it would always take you to a safe place. The other interesting thing was the idea of cells, and that's why I like that last picture by Begum. Is kind of, I tried to take something bad. You know, the cell or virus, you know, it can be a big thing of different levels, and a cellular structure to a park, I thought was very interesting. And even though this word pi means nearby, I started thinking of popular culture, and I thought of this film, which I'm sure you've all seen. And what I like is just the idea of the film is fantastic landscapes of unusual landscapes. I'm sure if you've seen this film, you remember the Indian boy. He's with the tiger, and he ends up on this kind of wetland. You know, when this wetland is like a living organism, is sort of growing and shrinking, and I think all these little squirrels or kind of rats come out, and they all go into this hole of the nighttime. So I like this this idea of something a little bit wild, cellular, lost, as the big model, not the living model, but the park model of the future. Something, this is it's in Chengdu. Chengdu is big capital city of Sichuan province. And this could be somewhere the citizens could find a place that they like, find a place to get lost, but find their way back again, and just have a little bit of detachment from reality. That's all. So I just had fun thinking about this non-straight line place.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Yes, because the problem is not if, in my opinion, if black or white, yes or not. I saw in Nelle CV, I read a name of a professor I love a lot, Vittorio Magnago Lampugnani, and a lot of years ago, I suppose 20 years ago, he wrote on Casabella, he wrote this amazing essay about Adolf Loos and his kind of purism, no? I suppose he was the first to write about this issue, no? I mean, no decoration, no ornamentation, no ornament, no. And he told, but after that we become Nazist, no? Because it's true, no? The total white houses, the total straight houses, the so strong theories of the beginning of the 20th century was pure idealism, but also the Nazism was pure idealism, no? So after this experience, maybe 1 century later, we are more soft. We are more free also to accept the differences, really free inside of us. As a Californian guy, no, James?
Yeah.
Do you feel free?
Well, I think what's in it begun, right? Begun? Yeah. What she was showing and what Mike was showing was actually something I was discussing with somebody today. There was this word. It's a very old word. It came from the 90s called personal bubble. Do you guys know this word? And this word, I think, Nile, do you know this? Do you remember this word? It's a very old word. It talks about people are not so comfortable with each other because you need see if you're talking with somebody you don't know or you're not familiar with, and you get to be like 1 foot apart, you feel very uncomfortable. So there's this idea about personal bubble, this invisible bubble around us that make us you're not, and as you relationship grew closer, you become stranger from colleagues. Maybe you can talk 2 feet apart, and when you become even closer, like your relatives or your loved ones, then the distance become even closer. So now in Begun's work, I saw this the white structure is almost like a personal bubble. It's like in the time of coronavirus, it's a personal bubble that you can live and be totally happy and self-sufficient in. And also in the cocoons that you have hanging from the trees, it's almost like a sleeping personal bubble. So, and Nile, you were talking about villas. Villa is sort of the living unit of the personal bubble to be safe away from other people, so we don't pass whatever pandemic along. So maybe it's interesting to think about, does the human really, do we need a personal bubble? And how many square feet is, how many square meter it is to be living as the new living unit to be safe from each other. In the United States now it's 2 meters, 6 feet is the social distance. But this social distance is sort of as a personal unit, you're moving around with this invisible bubble around you. But what does that mean for landscape design? What does that mean for housing design? Or does this bubble change from older people to younger people to people who's working in the office? What does that mean for our cities or even urban centers? I think it's a very fascinating question, the scale of the personal bubble. And then if we will think about this one step further, maybe this whole problem came from human beings not respecting the personal bubble of animals, right? We're crowding all these live animals together. They should not be crowded. They are put in cages, thousands after thousands, almost like a living hell for these animals. And then all these pandemics started developing because these animals are derived of their personal, what nature deemed that's actually the appropriate space that an animal needs, not only to be alive, but even if they were to be food, there's certain space that they need to be clean, to be someone humanely treated. So I know in our urban planning, working as architects, we work with square footages, and the determination for these square footages always it's economical, right? It's how much is it per square meter in Beijing? How much is it per square meter in the United States? How much is it per square meter in central Zurich, as opposed to it's always economical driven. It's never driven by natural rules or what is socially, humanly, biologically, health-wise. What is the personal bubble that we need in different stages of our life? What is a personal bubble for a chicken, for a pig? I think that's if we start thinking about like that, we will start thinking about all the different spaces differently, like the world around us. Maybe it'll start shaping. I don't know what the city will look like if we start thinking about like that. And obviously, maybe that's how Villa was invented, and maybe there's a new type of way of gathering and living together that will come from this pandemic, of people actually not only thinking about consciously about ourselves, but about all the animals in the world, all the other living beings in the world. So in the ways that we don't start killing each other. I think this is a way of distribution of spaces and personal bubbles in a way. So I don't know, it's a different angle of looking at it, sort of from what I've seen today, everyone's work.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, James.
And looking at you, that there's personal bubbles behind you from the movie Playtime. Everyone's in the mechanical, very corporate America, you know, inhuman bubbles. And I remember the movie, nobody knows inside, outside. Yeah.
Jacques Tati was a prophet in a lot of things.
Yes,
but I really, I guess now more than in other periods, so we should use a ironic approach. We should use this kind of soft criticism in our work to discover new dimension and new possibilities for us every day, not only as an architect, but also as a human being. So Gregorio, send me a link. I can do you want I share for you?
Yes, thanks.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I show you Brussels.
Oh,
So yeah, this is a metropolis that you all know probably, and it's very interesting to compare with. It's from 1927, so some years before the movie Giuseppe showed, and it's very interesting because it relates to the same issues. You can see the clock, as in the other movie. You see the question of machine and of work, basically, and the time, the time we capitalism takes from you. And then the most interesting part is the one with this one, the line of people going to work. And it's interesting because here it's very abstract, it's very radical, it's very metaphorical. In the American movie that is made some years after is more naturalistic in a way. It's more related to reality, is more Hollywoodian. But they talk, you have the lines of people going to work also in both movies. And you have the mass issue, the question of people together in mass. So the working class mass, the city mass, and so this issue that James was talking about the social distance in those years was very compelling, because it was also an issue that architecture, as we all know, was dealing with. The question of putting so many people together, to put more people as possible together. So because capitalism was asking, but in a way also, productivism in the Stalin Soviet Union. So yeah, that was very interesting. I was just watching this movie some days ago, and the documentary I was talking about, that I will put in the link also, that I think you should all watch. It's very, very well done. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. So we are at the end of our episode. So maybe Claudio, you could show us some new from
Lego
Milano.
set. No, I was just I want to share my thought about what you said before, that I'm not sure that we are going to reach a personal bubble working and living in terms of working and living, even because I would be scared about something like that, because we learn a lot from our colleagues, from our friends. So if we work alone at home, we will lose a lot of contamination from the others. I think a lot of ideas you had in your life coming from a chat with your colleague or something. I don't know, even to see, yesterday I saw this movie where I cooked this recipe or something like that. So we will be more poor if we will work at home alone for a long time. Even I'm not thinking that it will succeed, something like that, for sure. We have we need to stay with other people. So
Totally agree.
it won't last very long. So we know that we have the chance to work from home, and then easier than we thought, but it's not the goal that we have to reach, I think. We will more poor in terms of ideas and in terms of contamination. So this is what I think.
I put an applause on that.
Thanks.
So we could say bye bye, and I hope to see you soon to our special guest Nele Dekman and Begum. Begum, you have to help me with Aydinoglu.
Begüm Aydınoğlu.
Aydinoglu. I have a lot of Turkish friends, but I have a lot of problem with Turkish. I will stop soon. Thank you. So I hope to see you soon, Nele and Megan. As you know, this is your home. Your home with garden, so you can come back here every whenever you want.